Imagine, it's a cold night in the middle of January, but you're luckily inside. As your parents start to prepare dinner for you and your siblings, you start to feel a sense of hesitation in the air. They use their canned goods and their Jiffy bread mix to make you guys a nice dinner, but you kind of put the pieces together and you realize that this might be the last night that you have a full meal covered by your care package from the local food bank. You also realize that that means your parents might have to skip meals in the next few days to make sure that you and your siblings can be fed. The morning comes and you hear the doorbell ring. As your parents greet the people at the door, they accept in a box. A couple of college volunteers hand them what is actually a new care package. You completely forgot that you are now able to eat a full meal this week with your parents not having to go hungry as well. This is a great feeling of relief, but for most Americans, that doubt often is not met with this relief. For most families in America, when money gets tight, full meals are often the first or second thing to go. This is a picture from a clip made by Feeding America, one of the biggest philanthropy organizations that help try and end child hunger. The reality I told you is somewhat similar to what Darren went through. In this video, Darren recounts what it was like growing up living with his Aunt Jessie and his sister Miley. Outside of Phoenix, Arizona, he often was used to getting up to only one meal in the summer and sometimes 2 meals during the school year. He talks about his aunt moving closer to a local food bank, the food bank taking them in and supporting them almost fully with their meals so that they could pay for other finances. He talks about getting up to 3 meals a day and how it impacted him and his sister's ability to take part in extracurriculars like sports and other clubs at their school. Unfortunately, families around Taylor are not immune to the same problems that Darren went through. In fact, 16% of Grant County is considered food insecure. For several weeks, I've researched some of the food shelters and food banks in central Indiana, as well as what hunger looks like in Indiana and the greater Midwest. I also spent a lot of time during my time in student council in high school volunteering at Gleaner's Food Bank in southeast Michigan. A lot of the same problems there are similar to the problems in Grant County. Today, I would like to encourage you to join me on Martin Luther King Jr. Day this year to volunteer at Second Harvest Food Bank in Muncie, Indiana. First, let's look closer at how the problem of hunger in Grant County can be solved by volunteers like you and me. Like I previously mentioned, 16% of Grant County is food insecure. Food insecurity refers to the lack of access at times to food for active lifestyles for all members of a household. Food insecurity may reflect a household's need to make trade-offs, like possibly not eating to pay medical bills or not eating full meals so that they can pay housing bills. But this is just not a reality that we can let be consistent in Grant County. According to Second Harvest in Muncie, 20% of children in East Central Indiana are food insecure. That means they're sacrificing meals. And unfortunately, this creates vast problems in their developmental stage during their lives. So some of the problems are physical health, the child development, school readiness, behavioral and mental health as well. These things suffer immensely, but this is the time in children's lives when they need to develop some of the skills that will transfer them so that they have a successful adolescence. Unfortunately, hunger in adolescence isn't exactly solved either. It's in fact very common in Grant County. According to the University of California, San Francisco, people who are food insecure are almost 25% more likely to get diabetes or chronic illness in their future. The struggle to find key nutrients in a consistent diet creates vast problems that really need to be solved more in youth, but also need to be considered when people become adults and have to start considering how they're going to be putting meals on their own tables. So, how can we combat this in Grant County? As college students, donations aren't really an option for us, and volunteering on a regular basis doesn't necessarily seem like much of a solution either. But I have a solution. Second Harvest Food Bank in Muncie, Indiana is the region's largest hunger relief organization. They have 96 agency partners and are linked with 35 schools across 8 counties, including Grant County. It's only 30 minutes away, and periodic volunteering is really beneficial. While volunteering could seem impossible due to busyness, I feel led to share a solution I recently found out. While Martin Luther King Jr. Day is January 18th and a Monday that we often consider a day off, we should be considering it a day on. This day was made so that communities could find betterment by people taking a day off work and finding ways that they could make small volunteering opportunities happen. It's also a perfect time as volunteering normally slows down after the holidays. It's really easy during our winter breaks for us to go and ring bells for Salvation Army, or to maybe go find a day with our families to go and volunteer. But in fact, January seems to have an immense slowdown in volunteering. While we could take Martin Luther King Jr. Day to go and volunteer at a place 30 minutes away and create a vast impact on our community. And you might want to ask, well, how would that help? I'm only one person. But in fact, most food banks in the Midwest and food shelters rely solely on volunteers. Sometimes they also rely on donations, but most of their work comes from volunteers. In fact, Second Harvest relies on 4,000 volunteers to package and deliver 8 million pounds of food to families who are considered food insecure each year. So they rely on people like us who seek change and want to make a difference in our community on days like Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Food insecurity won't be solved overnight, but I hope that on January 18th, you'll put food in the hands of fellow Hoosiers who go through a problem that we might never go through. So I hope you'll join me at Second Harvest Food Bank in Muncie, Indiana on January 18th. Remember, you're not just giving your time, but you're also giving hope to fellow Hoosiers all around you. Thank you.